The day a bald human in a yellow jumpsuit appeared in Orgrimmar, we thought we'd gained the ultimate weapon. This is the story of how One Punch Man didn't just break World of Warcraft's raids and battlegrounds, but shattered the very meaning of strength itself in Azeroth. And if you genuinely enjoy this kind of dark storytelling, consider subscribing and liking the channel, but only if it truly resonates with you. What happens when infinite power meets a world built entirely on conflict, where even the Void Lords flee from your presence and old gods die from a single disappointed punch? The day the bald human appeared in Orgrimmar changed everything. Not in the way the Cataclysm changed things, not even the way the Legion invasions changed things. This was different. This was wrong on a fundamental level that made even the Void Lords seem comprehensible by comparison. I was there when he materialized in the Valley of Strength. No portal, no summoning circle, no flash of light or shadow. One moment empty air, the next moment a bald human in a yellow jumpsuit and white cape standing confused in the middle of a Corcoran parade drill. The guards attacked immediately. Standard protocol for Alliance infiltrators. 20 elite warriors charged with weapons blessed by shamans and enchanted by our finest mages. The human didn't move. He looked bored, actually bored. As ancestral axes met his skull, they shattered like glass. The Corcoran bounced off him and landed in heaps around Grommash Hold. Thrall emerged from the stronghold. Our former warchief still commanded respect despite stepping down. He approached the human with Earth Mother's wisdom in his steps. The elements whispered frantically around him. I'd never seen them so agitated. Not even when Deathwing broke the world, the human introduced himself as Saitama, said he was looking for a grocery store. Thrall's diplomatic nature took over. He explained this was Azeroth. Different world, different rules. The human's face fell into an expression I'd seen on veterans who'd fought too many wars. Disappointment mixed with exhaustion. Thrall tried to understand. He asked about Saitama's strength. The human shrugged and said he trained until he went bald. 3 years of basic exercise, nothing more. The shamans later told me the elements screamed when he said that. They couldn't comprehend him. He existed outside natural law, outside the cosmic forces, outside everything. Word spread quickly. A human of impossible strength had appeared in Orgrimmar. Garrosh, still warchief then, saw opportunity. He ordered Saitama brought to him. The meeting lasted 12 seconds. Garrosh challenged him to single combat to prove Horde superiority. Saitama flicked him with one finger. Garrosh flew through 3 walls of Grommash Hold, through the auction house, over the Zeppelin towers. We found him embedded in Ashara's mountains 2 days later. Alive but broken. Not just his bones, his spirit. He'd glimpsed something in that moment of impact. The absolute ceiling of power. A place where challenge ceased to exist. The Horde's reaction split immediately. Some wanted to weaponize him against the Alliance. Others feared what he represented. The trolls consulted the lower and received only silence. The Darkspear's leader Vol'jin met with Saitama personally. The Shadowhunter's usually steady voice trembled when he reported back. The lower couldn't see him, couldn't touch him. He existed in a blind spot of reality itself. Sylvanas arrived from Undercity with her Dark Rangers. The Banshee Queen studied him with those burning eyes that had seen past death itself. She offered him power, offered him purpose, offered him challenge through undeath and service to something greater. Saitama yawned, actually yawned in the face of she who defied the Lich King. She attacked, not with arrows or magic, but with the wail of the Banshee, the sound that stops hearts and freezes souls. Saitama scratched his ear like it tickled. Sylvanas' expression broke into something I'd never seen on her face. Fear. Real fear. She retreated to Undercity and hasn't returned to Orgrimmar since. The Blood Elves sent their magisters. They tried to measure his power with their arcane instruments. Every device exploded on contact. They theorized he might be a Titan construct, but even Titans followed rules, had limitations. This thing wearing human skin didn't. We tried to make him useful, sent him to fight Alliance forces attacking the Barons. He ended the battle in one punch, not one punch per enemy. One punch total. The shockwave flattened every combatant on both sides, Horde and Alliance alike. Our own troops spent weeks in the infirmary. The survivors spoke of seeing something in that moment, the futility of all conflict when true power existed. The warlocks attempted to understand him through fell magic. They summoned demons to test him, fell guards, doom guards, even a pit lord they'd been saving for a special occasion. Saitama knocked each one back to the Twisting Nether with the same bored expression. The demons stopped answering summons after that. They remembered him, feared him more than they feared their warlock masters. Then came the incident with the raid on Stormwind. Garrosh ordered a full assault. Every champion, every hero, every weapon we had. including Saitama. We told him not to hold back, told him this was war. He said okay and jumped. He jumped from Durotar to Stormwind, across the ocean, across continents. The impact created a crater where the trade district used to be. But that wasn't the worst part. He'd been aiming for the keep and missed, because he didn't care enough to aim properly. King Varian survived only because Saitama got distracted by a cart selling fruit. The battle ended instantly, not through victory, but through universal medical emergency. Every fighter on both sides needed immediate healing. The Alliance and Horde called a temporary ceasefire just to tend to the wounded. Saitama stood in the crater eating an apple. He complained it wasn't as good as the ones from his world. Thrall tried teaching him about honor, about the warrior's path, about finding meaning in struggle, even when victory comes easily. Saitama listened politely. He even tried to care. You could see it in his eyes, the desperate desire to feel something, anything. But when Thrall demonstrated a simple combat stance, Saitama copied it perfectly, then improved it beyond what 10,000 years of martial tradition had developed. Without trying, without thinking. Just because his body moved that way naturally, the depression set in visibly after that. He'd sit on the walls of Orgrimmar staring at nothing. Sometimes citizens would bring him food. Sometimes he'd eat it. Sometimes he'd forget it was there. The guards stopped challenging him. What was the point? Have you ever wondered which of Azeroth's corruptions would claim him first? Drop your theories in the comments. I need to know I'm not alone in thinking about this. Cairn Bloodhoof visited from Thunderbluff. The ancient Tauran chieftain spoke with him about patience, about finding peace in simple existence, about the Earth Mother's embrace. Saitama asked if the Earth Mother was strong. Cairn said she was the strength of the world itself. Saitama's eyes lit up for just a moment. Then Cairn explained she wasn't a being you could fight. The light died. Cairn left shaking his massive head in sorrow. The Forsaken tried next. They understood emptiness, understood existing without feeling, understood the hunger for sensation that could never be filled. They thought he might be kindred, but undeath at least gave them purpose in their curse. Saitama's curse was worse. He was perfectly alive and perfectly empty. That's when the old gods took notice. Chthun's whispers reached out from Ankh-Kiraj. N'Zoth's tentacles of thought probed from the depths. Yogg-Saron's madness seeped from Northrend. They found nothing. Not resistance, not shields, just nothing. Like trying to corrupt a void, their whispers bounced off the hollow of his mind. They couldn't corrupt what didn't engage with existence itself. The old god's failure to touch him sparked something worse than corruption. Interest from the Legion. Kil'jaeden himself opened a portal above Orgrimmar, not to invade but to observe, to study this anomaly that existed outside the cosmic order. Demons poured through in waves. Saitama stood up from his usual spot on the wall. Finally, maybe finally something interesting. He jumped into the portal. We lost contact for 3 minutes. Then demons started falling from the sky. Dead demons. Pieces of demons. Entire Legion ships torn in half. Saitama fell last, landing in the same spot he'd jumped from. He sat back down. When we asked what happened, he said the demons were weak, but at least there were a lot of them. Made it last longer. Almost 5 whole seconds of feeling something. The portal collapsed. Later intelligence suggested Kil'jaeden had retreated deeper into the Nether than anyone had tracked before. The Legion added Azeroth to their list of worlds to avoid until the anomaly was gone. That's when players started noticing him. The heroes who respawn. The ones who treat our world like their personal battleground. They heard about someone one-shotting raid bosses, ruining their progression, breaking their carefully planned strategies. Some guild invited him to Icecrown Citadel. They thought having him would guarantee server first kills. The Lich King lasted 1 punch. Not even a serious punch. Saitama described it as a light tap. Arthas's millennia of planning, his grand design of death, his armies of undead, all meaningless. The guild got their achievement, but half of them quit the game. What was the point of gearing up when someone could invalidate everything with minimal effort? He tried battlegrounds next. Thought maybe organized PvP would be different. Warsong Gulch first. Both teams converged on him in midfield. 40 players with legendary weapons and perfect rotations. He clapped his hands once. Everyone died. The match ended in a draw because nobody could resurrect fast enough to grab the flag. Alterac Valley was worse. He didn't understand the objectives. Didn't care about towers or graveyards. He just walked straight to the Alliance commander, through their entire army. Their defensive line parted like water. Not from fear, but from physics. His presence alone generated enough force to push them aside. He poked Vander Stormpike. The dwarf exploded into pixels. Match over in 30 seconds. Players started leaving when they saw him queue. Forums exploded with complaints about game balance. Some claimed he was hacking. Others said he was a developer testing something. The truth was worse. He was just that strong and that bored. Thrall kept trying to help him find purpose. Introduced him to Agra, thought maybe personal connections would ground him. Agra was patient, kind. She tried to teach him about elements, about balance, about finding harmony within himself. But how do you balance infinite power with zero satisfaction? She gave up when he accidentally created a sinkhole by stepping too hard during meditation. The aspects took notice, those dragon gods who shaped reality itself. Alexstrasza approached first. The Lifebinder offered him a place among her flight, thought maybe protecting life would give him meaning. He asked if she was strong. She showed him her true form, massive, ancient, powerful enough to reshape mountains. He patted her snout like petting a dog. She fled in tears. The mother of life itself reduced to a pet in his eyes. Nosdormu tried next. The Timeless One showed him all possible futures, all timelines, all realities where he might find challenge. In every single one, he stood alone at the end, victorious and empty. The Bronze Dragon went mad from seeing it, started creating time loops just to avoid that inevitable future. The infinite dragonflight makes more sense when you understand what they saw in him. Deathwing emerged from Deepholm, the Destroyer, the Cataclysm himself, corrupted by old gods and driven mad by power. He saw Saitama as either his greatest threat or greatest opportunity. The Black Dragon challenged him directly above Orgrimmar, the city evacuated. This was aspect versus anomaly. Deathwing breathed shadow flame that had melted cities. Saitama stood in it like a warm breeze. Deathwing used his massive claws. They shattered on impact. The Destroyer tried every attack, every power, every corruption the old gods had given him. Nothing. Finally, in desperation, Deathwing tried to eat him. Saitama punched from inside Deathwing's throat. The aspect exploded, not died, exploded. Scales rained across 3 zones. Chunks of corrupted flesh fell like meteors. The Destroyer was destroyed so thoroughly that death itself got confused. His soul didn't know where to go, because the body it belonged to no longer existed in any meaningful way. That should have been celebrated. The cataclysm ended with one punch, but nobody cheered. We all saw the look on Saitama's face as Deathwing's remains fell. Disappointment. Pure disappointment. He'd hoped an old god-corrupted aspect would last longer. Maybe 2 punches, maybe even 3, but no, still just 1. The Titans tried to intervene through their keepers. Odin sent his greatest warrior. Thorim brought the fury of storms. Freya tried to bind him with nature itself. Each one fell to single half-hearted strikes. The Titans themselves stayed silent. Some say they were afraid. Others say they simply had no protocol for something that existed outside their ordering of reality. If you had his power in Azeroth, would you choose Alliance, Horde, or stay neutral? Tell me in the comments. I'll be reading them. He tried joining the Horde military properly. Thought maybe structure would help. They made him a grunt. Gave him duties. Guard duty, patrol routes, supply runs. He did them all perfectly. Too perfectly. A week of guard duty without moving, without blinking, like a statue of meat pretending to have purpose. It unnerved everyone more than his strength did. The Shah started manifesting around him. Not from his negative emotions, but from everyone else's reaction to him. Despair, doubt, fear, anger. The negative energy of those who glimpse true powerlessness. The Shah of Despair grew strongest, feeding on the existential crisis he created just by existing. He punched it once. It reformed. He punched it again. It kept reforming. Not because it was strong, but because the despair was real. Constant. Regenerating from everyone who saw him. Vol'jin suggested he try crafting. Find joy in creating rather than destroying. Saitama learned blacksmithing. His first hammer strike created a sword that cut through dimensions. His second attempt opened a portal to the void. He stopped trying after his third creation achieved sentience and immediately committed suicide after realizing what had made it. The Darkspear trolls performed a ritual, begged the Lower to give him what he wanted. A real fight, a true challenge. The Lower responded by sending their greatest warrior spirit. It manifested with power that shook the earth. Saitama got excited, actually excited. He took a stance, prepared a serious punch. The Lower warrior saw that stance and immediately demanifested, returned to the spirit world. Refused to fight, even gods knew better. That's when she came. Azshara, Queen of the Naga, the most powerful mortal mage who ever lived. She emerged from the seas with N'Zoth's blessing and 10,000 years of patience. She didn't come to fight. She came to offer him something different. Oblivion. She explained that N'Zoth could unmake him. not kill him. Unmake him. Return him to the nothing before existence. End the burden of his strength. All he had to do was submit to the void. Let it consume his empty spaces. Finally rest. Saitama actually considered it. You could see him weighing eternal nothingness against eternal boredom. He agreed to meet N'Zoth, dove into the ocean depths where the old god waited. The water parted around him. Not from any power he exerted, but because reality itself didn't know how to interact with him properly. He found N'Zoth in his prison, a mass of tentacles and eyes and thoughts that drove mortals mad. N'Zoth tried to unmake him, poured the entire void into that empty space where Saitama's satisfaction should have been. For one moment, one beautiful moment, Saitama felt something, the void touching places that had been numb for so long. Then his body adapted, absorbed it, made it nothing. N'Zoth screamed. A god screaming. He'd poured infinity into Saitama and watched it become finite, become boring. Saitama punched N'Zoth out of existence. Not death, existence. The old god's prison shattered. His influence vanished. His corruption cleaned from every mind it touched. But instead of celebration, Azeroth mourned, because even old gods were part of the cosmic balance. Without N'Zoth, the void would send something worse, something that might actually notice Saitama. The Horde leadership met in emergency session. What to do with him? They couldn't exile him. He'd just walk back. Couldn't imprison him. He'd leave when bored. Couldn't kill him. Obviously. Thrall suggested something desperate. Send him to face the Void Lords directly. Either he'd find his challenge or remove Azeroth's greatest threat. They opened a portal to the Void. The space between spaces where the Lords waited to consume reality. Saitama walked through eagerly. The portal slammed shut immediately. The Void Lords had seen him coming and sealed their realm. They'd rather lose access to our reality than risk facing him. The cosmic threat that had haunted existence since its beginning chose to hide rather than fight one bald human. He returned more depressed than ever, sat in Orgrimmar's auction house because it was noisy. The noise helped him pretend he wasn't alone with his strength. Citizens started bringing him problems just to give him something to do. Cats stuck in trees, wagons with broken wheels. He fixed them all with the same empty expression. Then the players found a use for him. Griefing. They'd kite him to enemy cities. Tell him there might be strong opponents there. He'd follow out of desperate hope. Arrive, destroy everything with one attack, then sit in the ruins until someone kited him somewhere else. Both factions started posting warnings. Saitama sighting in Gulch. Evacuate immediately. Saitama approaching crossroads. Abandon all quests. The Scarlet Crusade tried to purge him, called him an abomination, a corruption of humanity. Their entire monastery attacked at once. Paladins with holy magic, priests with sacred flames, inquisitors with blessed weapons. He walked through them like rain, not even noticing their attacks. They broke. Their faith shattered. How could the light permit such emptiness to exist? Half joined the cult of the damned after. At least undeath made sense compared to him. The Lich King's remnants studied him from Northrend. The Knights of the Ebon Blade wondered if he could be turned. Made into the ultimate Death Knight, but Death Knights were powered by suffering, by pain, by loss. Saitama had moved beyond those things. He suffered from the absence of suffering, hurt from the inability to hurt, lost the capacity to lose anything that mattered. The Emerald Dream tried to heal him. Druids pulled him into that green realm of pure nature, of life before corruption. They thought maybe there he'd find peace. Instead, his presence created the Emerald Nightmare. Not through corruption, but through contagion. His emptiness spread. The dream couldn't imagine someone who couldn't dream. It broke trying to understand him. Medivh's ghost appeared, the former guardian who doomed and saved the world multiple times. He studied Saitama with eyes that had seen across time and space. He declared Saitama wasn't the problem. The world was. Azeroth operated on conflict, on balance between powers. Saitama transcended that. He needed a reality with different rules. But every reality Medivh could see had rules. Physics, magic, something. Saitama had broken past all of it. That's when it happened. The thing we don't talk about. The day Saitama got angry. Really angry. Not at an enemy, at himself, at his strength, at the joke his existence had become. He screamed. Once, the scream shattered every piece of glass in Orgrimmar, opened rifts to other dimensions, woke sleeping old gods we didn't know existed. The planet itself cracked. New fault lines appeared across continents. The maelstrom doubled in size. That was just his voice. Just frustration finally expressed. The cosmos took notice. The Void Lords, the Titans, the forces of life and death, order and disorder, they all felt it. a being who could unmake existence through tantrum. They held council. First time in creation, all cosmic forces agreed. Saitama had to be contained. Not killed, contained. They offered him a deal. His own universe. Empty except for opponents. Infinite opponents of infinite strength. Fighting forever without consequence. Without civilians. Without collateral damage. Just pure combat for eternity. He could leave Azeroth and have what he wanted. He refused. Not because he didn't want it. Because he'd realized the truth. He didn't actually want to fight. He wanted to fight. He missed missing the thrill. The opponents weren't the problem. He was. His strength had murdered his own soul. Left him a puppet of meat, going through motions he no longer understood. So he made a different choice. He walked to Theramore, to Jaina, asked her to teach him magic, not to fight with it, just to learn something that took time. That took effort. She agreed out of pity. Spent weeks teaching him basic frostbolts. He learned instantly, but pretended to struggle. Not for her, for himself. To remember what trying felt like. It didn't work. Nothing worked. He joined the Horde permanently, not out of loyalty, but because they'd stopped asking him to care. The Alliance still had hope. Still thought they could fix him, use him. The Horde just let him exist. Let him be empty among outcasts who understood emptiness differently. Some say he's still there, sitting in Orgrimmar, waiting for something impossible. Others say he disappeared one day, walked into the maelstrom and kept walking, down through the planet, out the other side, into the void between stars, looking for home, looking for death, looking for anything that could make him feel like less of a mistake. The Horde doesn't talk about him anymore. Neither does the Alliance. The dragons pretend he never existed. The old gods that remain avoid Azeroth entirely. Even the Legion marks our world as quarantined. Not because he's here, because he might come back. Players still report sightings. A bald figure one-shotting world bosses, ruining carefully planned raids, breaking the game by existing. Blizzard denies he exists, says it's a bug, a glitch, mass hysteria. But we know better. We know what infinity looks like when it's bored. It looks like a man in a yellow suit wondering why he bothered getting up today. The real corruption wasn't Fel or Void or death taking him. It was Azeroth breaking itself trying to understand him. We're a world built on conflict that met something beyond conflict. Built on struggle that met something beyond struggle. Built on meaning that met something perfectly meaningless. That's Saitama's legacy in Azeroth. Not destruction, not salvation. Just proof that power without purpose is the cruelest joke existence can play. He got everything a warrior could want. Infinite strength, unbeatable power, victory without effort. And it destroyed him more completely than any old god ever could. He didn't break our world's cycles. He exists outside them, watching them spin, waiting for them to matter. They never will. And that's the real horror. Not that he's too strong, but that strength itself becomes worthless when it has no mountain left to climb. Some nights I think about him, wonder if he found what he was looking for. Then I remember his eyes, those empty eyes that had seen their own ceiling and found it was just another floor to nowhere. And I pray to whatever powers still listen that I never get what I wish for, because Saitama got exactly what he wished for, and it killed everything inside him except the part that knew it.